Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Sammons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Sue Perez, a video marketing and visibility coach and the founder of Dynamic Video Coach. Sue helps entrepreneurs, coaches, and business owners overcome on-camera fear, communicate with confidence, and use video as a powerful tool for communication, trust, and growth. Her work sits at the intersection of strategy, storytelling, and self-belief, helping people stop hiding and start showing up authentically online. Sue, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me today. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Olivia. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. Let's dive into this, Sue. So, with all of my guests, I do like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up Dynamic Video Coach, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
So I have to go back to the very beginning, which is I kind of ticked the box in my career. I became an Emmy Award winning makeup artist working in television and film. I had all those wonderful experiences of working with celebrities and being in all those makeup rooms and traveling even with talent. And when the pandemic happened, I was on a production, a big television show here in New York City, and we went dark, which is meaning that we were canceled until further notice. And I remember going home and unpacking my makeup bag, thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a living? And what that prompted me to do is start thinking about who can I serve now? And so some of that was working online with image, because what was happening was so many professionals and creatives, and I'm talking about highly competent professional women in leadership positions, C-level, executive suite level women that are bosses. All of a sudden, they're all client facing on Zoom. We all pivoted to this world of virtual. And I got phone calls from people who said, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. I don't trust my own voice. And so that's how I pivoted a little bit into coaching online. And then I rebranded as Dynamic Video Coach.
Amazing. And such a great experience to draw from, because I feel like obviously with being in that industry and then obviously being a makeup artist as well, you do spend a lot of time looking in a mirror, and standing in front of Zoom is exactly the same feeling. So if you're very uneasy or very uncomfortable at looking at yourself, I could like fully the coaching aspect behind it comes into it. Even myself, when like everything moved virtually, it was horrible having to like sit there on camera. Obviously, when you're putting content out as well as founders and business people, as you say, you're looking to help. A lot of confidence and a lot of self-belief needs to come into that. So I'm very excited to dive in and learn more about the company. So Sue, when it comes to dynamic video coach, who would you say like is your ideal client? Like who do you really, really love to work with? And then from there, how is it you help them and how do you support them along that journey?
I would say that my audience has evolved just as I've evolved. And it went from initially working with performers and actors. And like I said, initially I was reached out to by C-level,
Yeah.
owners and business owners. It has evolved to now working more as a leadership educator. I pivoted from just coaching online and about presence on the camera to really working on the institutional level within organizations.
Yeah.
Because of the work as a coach, I realized that I had to go deeper. Confidence, and what we know about confidence typically is fake it till you make it, right? Smile, have eye contact. There was a lot of rules around that, but confidence is not something that we're just born with. Confidence is developed. The more that we do something, the more competent we become, and that's where the confidence comes from. So I feel like my brand has also evolved, where now I put the work into studying psychology, improving my own background and my own understanding of the human psyche, so that when I do coach, I'm coming from a very informed place. It's not just cookie cutter comments or the standard typical. It's really deep dive work as a coach. And then my clients have now transitioned into organizations. I do cultural change within organizations structurally at the leadership level.
Amazing. And so typically then with these organizations, is there any maybe sector in particular or like a size of organization you can work with? Or does that just like obviously you're open to working with people that just need help?
Right now I have a couple of clients. One of them is a non-for-profit with about 450 employees, and I coach from staff through executive leadership
Amazing.
positions. And then with my work in psychology, some of the things I've been able to help is uncover opportunities where we can strengthen the culture. And that's
Mm,
something that I feel is really integral to what I'm doing now, especially with all of the disruption that I feel we're all facing still since COVID. The world is not the same since the pandemic, even though we're no longer in that environment. Companies have shifted. The work from home has become a totally different structure for employees and for organizations. And with that, there's been a lot of restructuring. Agencies have been bought out or sold or merged. And so within that, you have an organization that, granted, has made changes, but what happens to the culture within that
yeah.
organization?
So making sure everything is very much aligned within the team and the organization within the pivots, within the current changes of the world and just helping in that aspect. What would you say like is the like maybe initial challenge or the initial issue that people tend to come to you with to help break through?
I get hired for leadership. So, and because of coaching, they trust my judgment. They consider me an executive coach because I can speak to leadership, and because of my background. I think what I do with any client is to understand the scope of what's needed. I
Cool.
had one client who works in the educational industry say, "Can you teach my teachers confidence?" Right? Can you help them with public speaking? Absolutely.
Yeah.
More of that would then be based on what the need is. Do they want something that I can develop exclusively for them, and it's content created or training specific to address the needs that they have? Or is it something that is like a 1 day training? Do they want me to unpack something and then do maybe some analysis afterwards? So the scope of what I'm doing is the primary concern. And then I also have something that I've started doing, which I think is even more powerful, is understanding the metrics from coaching to inform us of how we can develop better leadership training among the team
Yeah.
within the organization at the leadership level.
Amazing. And I do feel like a lot of funding's kind of being pulled away at the moment. They're not really investing what they should in their people, like the time and the energy it takes to build a good team and make sure that understanding's there from leadership downwards, and it's only going to affect profitability. It's only going to make the company better, more organized, more structured, which will only increase everything. But I am curious to find out how you go about acquiring your customers. So like how are you reaching these organizations and really getting your message across to them?
A lot of my own business growth is based on marketing. Some of it has been visibility by using video. That was mostly why I decided to start a podcast also, was because I wanted to increase my own visibility. So I believe in that, but also marketing involves reaching out directly to organizations. I've been really, really successful at building strong relationships within larger communities. And then I always go back and see what else they need after a job wraps. I think as a business owner, the best customers are the ones that have already purchased from you. So you always want to think, this client hired me and I produced or gave them the results. What else can I help them with? What else
Yeah.
do they need? And I think unless any founder can look at themselves as an asset, when you can position yourself in a way, not that it makes you unique or special or better, it's really about what service do you provide and how can you exceed the expectations of your client based on what you are unique, like what you can actually provide. That is your brand. So I always feel like my client, no matter how many times they've hired me, I always walk in the room like ready to give 110% or 1,000%. I have to exceed what the expectations are. Every opportunity to work with them is a chance for me to learn more about what they need, how I can improve something for them. And I think we have to trust our voice in that process.
Mm. Yeah, authenticity, definitely. So, and especially when it comes to marketing, it is, as you say, you have to have the problem to solve, but you have to make sure you're seen as that specialist at solving that problem, you know? So turning up, showing up every time, as you say, putting 110% in there to make sure that those customers are always there and they know that you're amazing in your field. Do you like do the outreach yourself though, or do you have maybe a team that helping you out with like marketing and setting all that stuff up, or are you still a solopreneur at the moment too?
I would consider myself a solopreneur, but I do hire partners to work on different aspects of my brand. I do hire for some web design, for some email marketing, for web design. So there's definitely times I need administrative support. I think becoming a brand authority is the best way to get your brand noticed, getting written up in earned media. I've done interviews, I've written articles, I've participated in women's organizations for more brand awareness. Community is very important. So I think as a founder, who are my clients? Where do they live? You know, what kind of resources are around me that I can reach out to and connect with, but also develop a real relationship with. I think when people use the word networking, there's a lot of confusion around it because it's really not about networking. It's about friendships, really establishing strong relational experiences with people that like you, know you, and trust you. And that takes time.
Yeah.
And expect to go to an event or a function and just give out your business card to everybody and come back to your office and think, I'm going to get written up in this article, or I'm going to get interviewed for that. You need to develop the like, know, and trust factor. And I think that's something I consistently work on. Even now, I have clients that have been working with me for years, and I get called because they say things like, we need somebody who we know, who we trust, but most importantly, who's going to execute. You can get the job done. So our role is always thinking, how can I make this easiest, quickest, smoothest, less friction? How can I de-escalate a problem? How can I fix a problem? How can I make it work for the client? I think as a founder, I'm always thinking, what makes me unique is that I will always consistently deliver and always exceed those expectations of the client. That's primary for me.
Yeah, fully. And I think that highlights as well, it's all about when you're in the service like forward industry, so like coaching or consulting, and you are the product itself, people often get confused. They think that their personal self is the product, but it's not. It's what you deliver and the service you provide to people. That's the important key to it. You know, they like to know and trust you, but if you can't back that up with actually the service that you're providing, which is what a lot of people miss on, you know, that's the part and parcel of it. And what you're saying with their like networking and building connections with people, it's about trust and building friendships. You know, you want to be on that kind of level with them. They can trust you as much as they can turn to a close friend. So it is working on that the whole way through. And like so I'm very curious to find out about your plans and the visions for the future. So when you think of like the next year ahead, I know we've only just started, but what does that look like to you when you think of scaling and taking the next steps in the business?
I love that question. I think when I think about my own expansion and my scalability, I have to be honest, I'm more obsessed with my clients' satisfaction than I am about vanity metrics or how large my organization is. I know that as a business owner, I do have a voice, I do have a brand, I am a brand authority, I'm trusted, I'm well liked, but I am so focused this year on continuing to build upon that and to make sure that people can say without a doubt, we really trust Sue Perez. Sue Perez was able to do this. We're so grateful for Sue Perez. This is a test of this work shows how you've been so committed to this project. I mean, these are the things I'm hearing from my clients. So the more that I hear that, the more I get motivated, more excited to continue the work that I do on a larger level, but I'm not focused on metrics as a marker of success, even though fiscal dollars are important. Obviously, we're in business, we want to make money, but I don't think that that's the goal. My
No.
goal is in exceeding the expectations, is giving the best whatever it is that I'm doing, right? So if I'm coaching, it's that best session so that my client walks away and says, I feel amazing. I feel totally focused. I have clarity. I understand exactly what I'm going to do. That was transformational. What I learned from her was such that's a breakthrough for me. When I hear things like that, when I became a person that even though my client was paying me as soon as our contract was over, she was like, I need to rebook. But then she was texting me because she realized how valuable I was for her. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the money. It's like, how much do people see me as a need? How much am I like necessary in this particular situation? And that's why they seek me out.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great mindset to have, because if you do your job to your utmost, and as you've said the whole way through, and I can hear it in your voice, like how much you care about that and just really making sure that your clients are fulfilled, everything else will follow. You can't be worrying on big term numbers and metrics. Yes, they're lovely to aim towards, and yes, as you said, it's a business. But if you make sure you're doing your job and delivering a service, everything else will flourish, because they will pay for you, they will come back, and it's just putting that all that energy in the right place. I suppose, Sue, as well, where are you finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment? Because you seem to be taking everything in your stride as you kind of get to there.
Biggest challenge at the moment. I honestly, I look at everything as an opportunity. I was just thinking the other day, some work that I had done, there was some analytics we were looking at, and the analytics were numbers that showed certain things that was pointing to issues or concerns. I don't like to use the word problem, but
Yeah.
obviously we learn things within organizations, and I'm working at the leadership level with human resources for some of my clients. So I'm looking at things from a different purview. I think the challenge that I face is, how can I take the issues or the struggle and how can I turn this into an opportunity for growth?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think we need to change the conversation from failure to opportunity for growth. Instead of missed opportunity, just be like, okay, what did we learn from this? This is amazing. Because the word yes and no mean to me the same in value. Getting a yes is great. Getting a no means I have information. Hearing the word no makes me question why. So learning that answer, that's growth. That's an opportunity for me. So I don't really look at things as black and white, or pass or fail, or success or failure. I think not just about experiences, it's really about developing yourself every single time, learning from what you're doing, expanding and evolving. I believe in my own evolution. It's not a destination point. It's a process.
I love that. And as you say, it's pivoting, it's learning and taking every positive, or taking in every negative and turning it into a positive. My brain finally got those words out. But Sue, I have one final question to ask you before we log out. So if you could go back in time to a younger self, maybe at the start of your own entrepreneurship journey, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know then, what would you say to yourself?
You're enough.
Beautiful. Love it. And what a great way to end the podcast. Sue, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
I have a press page on my website, dynamicvideocoach.com. And I also have email there. There's opt-ins. I get the emails and I check them. And I have a press person that handles that for any other interviews, or, if people want to photograph me or use my press kit, that's available on my website as well.
Amazing. Thank you again. And thank you so much for joining us, Sue. Really appreciate your time. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to go and check out Sue Perez and all the amazing work that she's doing. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future by wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we will see you on the next one.